Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1788B, and today's date is February 11th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Prosecution and Transparency, Rule of Law, Power Returned to the People. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about all the threats that we are seeing today in America, especially with the new caravan amassing in Central America, headed up to the border. Remember, your safety is the number one concern. One of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight kit. It's called the Night Protector. The Night Protector lights up the darkest of nights with its powerful 1200 lumens that can be seen miles away. Say goodbye to all those batteries. This has a rechargeable lithium battery that comes with it. To get the Night Protector, go to patriotkit.com. Use code X20 and get 20% off the Night Protector. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are in a huge amount of trouble. Everything that they've been trying to do has been backfiring on them. I mean, think about Mueller with the Russian collusion. After all these investigations and everything that he tried to do, so far we are seeing nothing. And actually what's happening right now, Adam Schiff and the rest, they're preparing for a nothing burger Mueller report. Remember, these are the people that placed Mueller there to find out and to investigate the Russian collusion. When Mueller comes up empty-handed, what are they going to do at this point? So right now they're preparing for this. And the Dems, they are throwing everyone at this 2020 presidential election. And a lot of this is a complete and utter disaster. We have Elizabeth Warren, and we know that she basically faked her entire race. She said she was an American Indian. She took a test, and it turned out that this was fake, phony, and false. And throughout her career, she actually put American Indian. And it looks like she's starting to project. Warren immediately attacked the president and suggested that Trump might be in prison by 2020. She's projecting right now. She said, every day there's a racist tweet, a hateful tweet, something really dark and ugly, and what are we as candidates, as activists, as the press going to do about it? Well, first of all, which tweets are racist? I haven't heard Trump say one racist thing. Which tweets are hateful? I haven't heard any of those either. Actually, the things that he says come true. So I would like her to point out which tweets are racist. She went on to say, here's what bothers me. By the time we get to 2020, Trump may not even be president. In fact, he may not even be a free person. First of all, this is definitely projecting. Brad Parscale said the following: Elizabeth Warren has already been exposed as a fraud by the Native Americans she impersonated and disrespected to advance her professional career and the people of Massachusetts she deceived to get elected. The American people will reject her dishonest campaign and socialist ideas like the Green New Deal. That will raise taxes, kill jobs, and crush America's middle class. Elizabeth Warren is a fraud and used her fake Native American heritage to advance her career. And this is so true. We also have another individual running, Amy Klobuchar. So she announced her run for the president Saturday during a blizzard in Minnesota. She made global warming a major piece of her platform and announcement. It was 8 degrees in Minneapolis on Saturday, and it was a blizzard. Now, Trump noticed, and he tweeted out the following. Well, it happened again. Amy Klobuchar announced that she is running for president, talking proudly of fighting global warming while standing in a virtual blizzard of snow, ice, and freezing temperatures. Bad timing. By the end of her speech, she looked like a snowman, brackets, woman. So you can see right now, Trump is just trolling all these individuals. And the Dems, the deep state, they're throwing everyone they possibly can at Trump because they know what he is doing right now. He is blocking them at every turn, and we're going to be talking about that in just a minute. Now, what's very interesting, we know that global warming is really to push taxes on the people. It's really to have carbon taxes and to tax you on your carbon footprint. And something very interesting out in New Jersey, and all those people living in Jersey, you might want to take a look at this. Governor Phil Murphy has already brought the state into the ninth circle of taxation hell with new taxes to save the state's ailing pension system. What is he doing? Well, he's going to tax the rain. Every time you think there's nothing left to tax, they come up with something else. Voters are very angry. Louise R. Miranda said the following: "The insane asylum known as New Jersey is now charging people because it rains. You cannot make this stop up." Now, this is exactly what it says. You cannot make this stop up. I don't know if he meant to say this stuff up and it got corrected somehow and they put stuff up. I don't know, but that's what they wrote. You cannot make this stop up. But what is the rain tax? Well, they will charge property owners a fee based on the amount of non-permeable surface they own. Think parking lots, driveways. The logic behind this is that non-permeable surfaces create runoff when it rains, and that runoff gets polluted as it travels from these surfaces into local sewers and then onto the state's waterways. The revenue generated by these taxes would be used to upgrade the state's storm water systems and save the state's already polluted waters from further pollution. First of all, you know this is not where the money's going. There's no way they're going to be spending the money on the polluted water. This money is going someplace else. And again, those people living in New Jersey, you might want to get out right now. So let's continue with this whole global warming and what these individuals are trying to do. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as many people might have noticed, unveiled her Green New Deal plan on her website. It was a complete disaster. The Green New Deal is a scam that included guaranteed income for Americans unwilling to work. The 14-page wish list also included a plan to transition to all electric cars and completely eliminate airplane travel, because trains over the ocean is a genius idea. The Democrats also wanted to get rid of cow flatulence, which means all cows will be eliminated. Within hours, the Green Deal was yanked from her webpage. And Trump decided to troll her and tweeted out the following: "I think it is very important for the Democrats to press forward with their Green New Deal. It would be great for the so-called carbon footprint to be permanently eliminate all planes, cars, cows, oil, gas, and the military, even if no other country would do the same." Brilliant. Everything that they're trying to do is backfiring on them. The deep state, they are backed into a corner. And they already know, and I'm talking about the deep state, they already know that the Mueller report will show absolutely nothing. Schiff is already preparing the narrative by projecting the following: we need to remember that the Dems, the deep state, placed Mueller in this position, and they were hoping that Mueller was going to find dirt on Trump. They knew there was no Russian collusion, but they thought that he was going to find something on his business dealings, maybe with his taxes or something like that. But guess what? Mueller went in every direction and couldn't find anything on Trump. So right now, Adam Schiff, he is shaping the narrative to explain why Mueller didn't find anything and why the investigations were moved to the House. Remember, Mueller was their firewall. They're setting up a new blockade. And Glenn Greenwald tweeted out the following: "In anticipation of the less than devastating Mueller report he wanted, Representative Adam Schiff is now starting to attack Robert Mueller's investigation as inadequate, lax, and negligent. Is it now permissible to impugn the former FBI director and special counsel?" So Schiff, he's out there questioning Mueller and saying we're going to have to look deeper than Mueller did. They're trying to set up a firewall in the House. This way Trump can't attack these individuals. They're trying to move the blockade away from Mueller because Mueller is going to be releasing the report. The report is going to show that he went in every direction and found nothing. And the deep state, they're backed into a corner. They don't know what to do. Basically, they're screwed. So it looks like the negotiations in Congress, they might not be going well. Maybe in the 11th hour, they'll come up with something. We know the deadline's on the 15th. That's when the government shuts down. And Trump tweeted out the following: "The Democrats do not want us to detain or send back criminal aliens. This is a brand new demand. Crazy." What they're trying to do is they're trying to get around this whole wall thing by coming up with new deals, by making the entire country a sanctuary country where the illegals can stay anywhere. This is not going to work. We need a wall. We know the wall works. Snake Plissken tweeted out the following to show us that walls do work. The Grammys were last night, and what did they have? They had a fence. Snake tweeted out the following: "The Grammys has fences blocking off several streets to protect a bunch of famous people who are mostly against 45's wall that will keep this country safer. I thought walls were immoral, so everyone has to be inconvenienced because these lefty elitists want to have a private party. So why do they need fences if they don't work? Just leave it open. Let the other people come in." They put up fences because they do work. Now, Gallup, they came out with a survey, and the chairman and CEO at Gallup has found that 42 million Latin Americans and 158 million people worldwide currently want or plan to migrate to the United States. Jim Clifton, chairman and CEO of Gallup, asserted his findings based on the results of the company's global migration survey. Gallup asked the whole population of Latin America, there are 33 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, roughly 450 million adults live in the region, and asked them, would you like to move to another country permanently if you could? They found that a whopping 27% of the 450 million adults that live in the region said absolutely yes. 42 million seekers of citizenship or asylum are watching to determine exactly when and how is the best time to make the move, Clifton wrote. This suggests that open borders could potentially attract 42 million Latin Americans, a full 5 million who are planning to move in the next 12 months. Trump responded with a tweet. Gallup poll. Open borders will potentially attract 42 million Latin Americans. This would be a disaster for the U.S. We need the wall now. Now, Trump, he had some victories on the wall here. The Ninth Circuit Court voted. Now, the Trump administration notched a 2-1 decision allowing expedited construction of a prototype wall in San Diego and a replacement of 14 miles of existing fencing near San Diego. So the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, a frequent target of Trump, they went ahead and said, yes, Trump is right, and they greenlighted the construction. So right there, we can see that everything is moving in Trump's favor. Now, DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, said in Friday's press release that they have issued a waiver to ensure the expeditious construction and replacement of approximately 12.5 miles of the secondary wall in San Diego. DHS cited a 1996 law giving the Secretary of Homeland Security the authority to waive legal requirements for the installation of additional fencing walls, roads, lighting cameras, and sensors on the southwest border. So it looks like it's being built. And this 14-mile wall project in San Diego was awarded to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Red Castle, Green Castle, Q has been telling us about. So we see at this point that the wall is being built and Trump is ready, according to Q, to initiate a national emergency. Because at this point, we can see that Congress, they have not decided on anything. And it looks like the government might shut down on the 15th. But then again, in the 11th hour, we'll have to see what happens. Out in Afghanistan, we see Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan. He arrived in Kabul, and it looks like they're talking about peace talks. And it looks like peace might come around July when they have elections, and troops might be coming home during this period. And it looks like they're setting all of this up. And again, he's Acting Defense Secretary. Optics don't matter in this situation. Temps have the ability to do quite a bit, as we can see with Whitaker and other Scaramucci. It's the Scaramucci model. So we can see peace is being accomplished in Afghanistan. Now, out of 21st Century Wire, they decided to go ahead and put together a dummy's guide to decoding the doublespeak of Syria. And this is very interesting, and you can actually use this for many different countries. So let me start off with forward deployment. U.S. troops are in forward deployment in the Al-Tanf enclave on the Syria-Iraq border. Here's the actual meaning. Occupation. The U.S. troops have no mandate to be there, not even the approval of the U.S. Congress. Here's another word. Vacuum. The U.S. will be leaving a vacuum when it pulls troops out, meaning restoration of law and order. Once the U.S. stops blocking the way, the Syrian government will return to the currently U.S.-controlled territory and will keep the Islamic State down as it is doing in the rest of Syria and Turkey out. The word lose. How the U.S. lost Syria, meaning win. Syria was never ours, as Trump has also helpfully explained. By leaving, the U.S. does itself a huge favor, avoiding another 19-year unwinnable war like Afghanistan. Regime. The Syrian regime, meaning government. Never say the Saudi regime, except in the immediate aftermath of a particularly gruesome murder of a critic with Western connections. Stabilize. Our programs support local administrations aimed at helping to stabilize the areas outside Syrian government control, meaning destabilize, help engineer partition. Safe zone. Turkey wants a safe zone 20 miles deep all along the border with Syria, meaning danger zone. Currently, the border is quiet. A Turkish incursion or attempt inspection of proxy forces would be bloody, resisted by the Kurds. The Syrian government can guarantee the area stays quiet given a chance. So you can see how the doublespeak works. And this goes with many other countries, that this is how the deep state uses these words to confuse everyone. Let's get into some of Q's posts. Post 2682. Q starts off with a link to an article in The Hill. And this is the case for Russia collusion against the Democrats. Q posted an article by John Solomon, who wrote that there is no evidence of Trump colluding with Russia, but there is evidence that exists that Bill and Hillary colluded and with a number of deals with Russians. So let me read a little bit of this article. As Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton worked with Russian leaders, including Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and then President Dmitry Medvedev, to create U.S. technology partnerships with Moscow's version of Silicon Valley and sprawling high-tech campus known as Skolkovo. Clinton's handprint was everywhere on the 2009-2010 project, the tip of a diplomatic spirit to reboot U.S.-Russian relationship after years of hostility prompted by Vladimir Putin's military action against the former Soviet Republic and now U.S. ally Georgia. A donor to the Clinton Foundation, Russian oligarch Viktor Vekselberg, led the Russian side on the effort, and several American donors to the Clinton charity got involved. Clinton's State Department facilitated U.S. companies' work with Russia project, and she personally invited Medvedev to visit Silicon Valley. The collaboration occurred at the exact time Bill Clinton made his now infamous trip to Russia to pick up $500,000 check for a single speech. Years later, intelligence documents showed both Skolkovo and Uranium One projects raised serious security concerns. The FBI had equal concern about Rosatom's acquisition of Uranium One. An informer named William Douglas Campbell had gotten inside the Russian nuclear giant in 2009 and gathered evidence that Rosatom's agents in the United States were engaged in racketeering scheme involving kickbacks, extortion, and bribery. Campbell also obtained written evidence that Putin wanted to buy uranium-1 as part of a strategy to obtain monopolistic domination of the global uranium markets, including leverage over the U.S. The Clintons were involved in all of this. Obama was involved in all of this. And John Solomon is bringing this out into the open. What Clinton, Obama, and the rest have been doing is they were taking everything that they did and placing it on Trump. But the real Russian collusion is with the Clintons, is with Obama. And Q says, define projection. How do you fix something that is known to be broken, corrupt? Do you first need to remove those responsible? Absolutely. Think FBI, Department of Justice, exit list. Remember, Q gave us the list of all these people that resigned or were fired. How do you restore the image, public faith of our most prestigious law enforcement institutions? Hold people accountable. Equal justice under the law. The battle begins, as seen today, with public opinion. The fight to win public favorability. The fight to control the narrative. How do D's control the narrative? 1. Fake news media push of by design narrative. Daily updates, 4 a.m. drops. This is all to the mainstream media. They drop their news stories at 4 a.m. 2. Fakewood echo of by design narrative. 3. Social media stream promote of by design narrative plus censor, block, ban of challengers of that narrative. So that's what we're seeing today. They're coming out with their information. They're doing their 4 a.m. drops. And anyone that challenges what they're saying, their narrative, they censor, block, ban. Do they provide evidence to support their conclusions? No. POTUS Russia narrative. Evidence? No. None. POTUS racist narrative. Evidence? None. POTUS, you can play this game all day long. None. What do they count on? How many experiments have been conducted by the CIA mind control? Psych 101. If you hear and see something over and over again by multiple supposedly credible news agencies, elected officials, actors, actresses, documentaries on TV, movies, internet, social media, foreign press, all pushing the same narrative conclusions, what happens? People start to believe it. Is it based in facts? No. Do factless claims become facts in the minds of many? Yes. Do they count on the fact that with work, family stresses of life, that the typical person does not have enough time in the day to research topics for themselves and therefore would believe narratives projected in the echo chamber without the need to provide facts or substances other than opinion? Yes, they're counting on that. Why do they try so hard to keep you divided by race, gender, class? Because if they keep us divided and pointed at each other, no one's looking at them. Notice an increase in this push over the last 2 years. Are you stronger together, united, or divided? We are stronger together. If you dare to challenge their narrative, are you cast out, and this is in brackets and bold, banned by society as a threat conspiracy theorist? Yes. Are you cast out by members of your own family? Some people, yes. Divided, groupthink. They do not want you to think for yourself. A free-thinking, logical person who draws conclusions based on facts are, put simply, a threat to their control power grip. All they care about is control, brackets bold, i.e. power. With control comes personal gain. They want to keep you poor and in need of government assistance. Bigger the government, the more control they have, the more power they possess. When you are in need, you are weak. When you are weak, you are not strong. When you are not strong, you do not fight back. This is as real as it gets. They never thought she would lose. Why? See above, RE control. They thought they were in control. They thought they had this. She won the election. They never thought this was going to happen. They are losing control now. Transparency is the only way forward. Transparency is the only way to prove to the public that everything sold to you as truth was nothing but fake narrative designed to keep you, the people, powerless and keep them in control. Fake news, propaganda arm of the Democrat machine. That's in bold brackets. Sole responsibility is to prevent the truth from being disseminated to the masses. Mass infiltration everywhere. Transparency is the only way forward. R.E. Public opinion. Prosecution is the only way forward. Save and defend the rule of law. Prosecution and transparency is the only way to save our way of life. Q. Let's move on to post 2683. Q put up a Twitter link, and this is from Oh Boy, What a Shot. Now, this video is showing the protests of the Yellow Vests. They are very, very large, and they're getting larger each and every day. At the same time, the mainstream media, they don't report on any of this. They say protests are small, non-existent. But that's fake. Q went on to say, would you know if not posted by individuals on social media? So Q is letting us know that if people didn't post this information on social media, would you even know that there were protests going on? No, because the mainstream media is not reporting on it. Q went on to say, fake news attempting to control the narrative by not providing coverage. And mainstream media is very famous for this. They just leave everything out so you think nothing is going on. Do the protests in the EU go against the narrative that majority of people are for globalism, open borders, and mass immigration? Number 1, dilution of citizen voice. 2, dilution of citizen vote. 3, dilution of national independence. Police turned against its own citizens. Citizens turned against its own police. People versus people. Controlled media. Prevent mass awareness. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to show you that people are fighting against the police are fighting against the people, and that's what really this is about. But what this is about is that these people are peacefully marching and protesting against globalism, open borders, and mass immigration. They don't want you to know this part. Control media with an arrow, prevent mass awareness. If the news doesn't report the facts, how do people get informed in order to be heard? Silence the people. Localize disruption. Target leaders of disruption. Quietly take action. Deploy scare tactics and political crosstalk. Control volume. The media no longer represents the will of the people. Think for yourself. Research for yourself. Trust yourself. Sheep no more. Let's move on to post 2684. Now, Q is referring back to a post, and this has to do with the wall with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This is back in December 11th of 2018. And down below, Q put the following. Gave us a link to Real Donald Trump, and this is what it says. President is on sound legal ground to declare a national emergency. There have been 58 national emergencies declared since the law was enacted in 1976, and 31 right now that are currently active. So this is hardly unprecedented. And then Q says, stage set. So Q is letting us know that the president is ready to declare a national emergency. Q went on to say, public border wall fight necessary to bring public awareness are true intentions of D Party. This entire exercise was to expose the true agenda of the Dems, of the deep state. Q went on to say, Annan's new narrative fight, dark to light, Q. Let's move on to post 2685. Q put up a link to a video on YouTube. This is Ronald Reagan. Reagan explains the relationship between we the people and government. The founding fathers designed it this way, where the people control the government, not the other way around. There should be a relationship between the two. The government should not be controlling the people. And if you want to listen to that video, you can come to the X22 Report. Click on the report link, the title, and scroll down to the bottom to where you see Q, or if you come to the X22 report on the side, you can see on the sidebar, you can see the Q posts, and you can find this post, which is 2685, and you can click on the link. Post 2686, Q gives us a link to live action, and this is undercover investigations for child sex trafficking cover-up. So this is telling us what Planned Parenthood was all about and how they were helping child sex trafficking. And Q says, why do D's push to fund Planned Parenthood? And Planned Parenthood is in kill brackets, all bold caps, using taxpayer dollars, $500 million a year. Where does the money go? Past political donations of Planned Parenthood. What is the process of disposal, re aborted fetus? What regulations, who monitors are in place to ensure that process is being followed? Why is there a new push by D's to legalize late-term abortions? See past drops, re Planned Parenthood, re Congressional Report, warning graphic. This has nothing to do with a woman's right to choose. Tactic they deploy when challenged to activate liberals' media hysteria. The focus is on the organization itself. Then Q gave us a link to cranesnewyork.com, and this is Kirk Adams and Cecile Richards. This link is about this power couple, and this is Kirk Adams and Cecile Richards. This power couple, they're outspoken defenders of Planned Parenthood. So Cecile Richards cut her teeth in Washington, D.C. as Deputy Chief of Staff for House Democrat leader Nancy Pelosi since 2006. She has been president of Planned Parenthood, a New York-based organization she is repeatedly tasked with defending against conservative detractors. Kirk Adams established himself as a major player in a labor through several leadership positions at the powerful Service Employees International Union. Recently, he helped bring the agenda of New York's healthcare industry to the national stage by becoming executive director of the Healthcare Education Project, a lobbying organization run through an unlikely partnership between 1199 SEIU and the Greater New York Hospital Association. Q says, ask yourself a very simple question. Given the amount of evidence demonstrating illegal and disturbing activities by Planned Parenthood, where's the FBI investigations? Q then gives us a link to Fox News. Planned Parenthood under investigation by Justice Department over sale of fetal tissue. Let me read a little bit of this. Over 2 years ago, citizen journalists at the Center for Medical Progress first caught Planned Parenthood's top abortion doctors in a series of undercover videos callously and flippantly negotiating the sale of tiny baby hearts, lungs, liver, and brains. It is time for public officials to finally hold Planned Parenthood and their criminal abortion enterprise accountable under the law. Now, the link to this news article is a year old. So does this mean that the investigation is wrapping up and Q is just letting us know? Q also gave us two names. Rod Rosenstein in kill brackets, all bold caps, and McCabe in brackets and bold, and says what senior political officials are providing cover to Planned Parenthood. Will action be taken by Department of Justice FBI 2019? So what Q is suggesting, Q is saying that there were certain individuals that were there as a firewall so Planned Parenthood would never be investigated. And Q is talking about Rod Rosenstein and McCabe. They made sure they were not prosecuted or investigated. But now, Q has them in kill brackets. And Q says, will action be taken by Department of Justice FBI in 2019? Yes, because McCabe and Rod Rosenstein, they're going to be removed. The firewall is removed. They will be investigated. And if we go up to the article, it is showing us that this is a year-old article about fetal tissue, which means the investigation most likely is being wrapped up, and we most likely will see prosecution. Let's move on to post 2687, and Annan puts up pictures of Q in all different countries, Finland, in Germany, in the UK, everywhere. And under this, Q says, why does the fake news media continue to attack a so-called conspiracy? Did you know there's been 1,000 plus articles written about this movement by the fake news media machine? Google, QAnon, select news past 30 days. What are they afraid of? People coming together and thinking for themselves. You don't attack unless it is a real threat. The deep state, the central bank, always use this tactic. Think about this for a second. They attack cryptocurrency. They attack gold, silver, conspiracies. These are all threats to their system. The only reason you attack a conspiracy, which is not a conspiracy, it is because it is the truth and it is a threat to their system. Post 2688. And Anon put up all the different articles, typed into Google, QAnon, and shows article after article. And under this, Q put the following. You attack those you fear the most. The sheer volume of attacks by the largest media corporation in the world should, using common sense and logic, indicate there is something more to the story. And Q is right. There is much more to this story because they're afraid of everyone waking up. Let's move on to post 2689. Q gives us a map where illegal immigrants live, and it perfectly overlays the blue counties where Democrats vote. So Q gave us a link to justice.gov, and this is the article that we read before. This is about Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker and Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen. They submitted a report saying that there was no foreign interference in the 2018 midterm elections. So Q says, only when the election harms the D Party will they claim foreign interference. Keyword foreign. What about domestic interference? Well, they don't want you looking over here at domestic. They want you looking at foreign. So look there, not over here. And where is their interference? Where is their fraud? In the domestic realm. Q puts an arrow and says non-citizen votes by county, non-citizens promo by county, non-citizens org by county. Targeted districts break down by non-citizen data accounts. Voter irregularities. Internals in brackets and bold. Parentheses, -2, laws enacted in battleground areas as test for 2020 voter roll screening review of non-votes. D, with an arrow pointing to ballot pop, an arrow pointing to track for sign, an arrow pointing to submit late for count. Vote swing figures plus rule of law, new standard of no-show vote, Supreme Court 2019 scope case. Why do Ds push for no voter ID in U.S. elections? Why do Ds push for open borders? Find the connection. No voter IDs mean that the illegals can vote. They need the open borders to bring the illegals into the country to vote. Sometimes a map helps. If we go back to the map, you can see why they do this. They need both open for their system to work, which is complete fraud. What Supreme Court decision 63 ruled voter ID did not suppress votes or deter minorities? Gave us a link to Reuters, and this is the Supreme Court upholds photo ID voting law. This was an article back in April 2008. The Supreme Court upheld a tough state law requiring voters to show voter identification, a decision critics say could keep some blacks, poor people, and other traditional Democrat supporters from voting in the November election. The country's high court voted 6-3 to reject a legal challenge by Democrats that Indiana's toughest in the nation voter identification law would deter minorities, the elderly, and others from casting ballots. So right there, we have a Supreme Court decision. So the law requires government-issued photo ID, such as a driver's license, to vote in federal, state, and local elections. Q went on to say, what false narrative is pushed by D's voter ID law? It's racist. If you have a voter ID, then you're racist. Voter suppression of minority vote. When is an ID required? An ID is required for many things. Food stamps, welfare, Social Security, unemployment, giving blood, and much, much more. Should an ID not be required at all for any reason, given the argument made by D's? Well, if an ID is racist, then how are these people using the ID to get food stamps, welfare, Social Security? Isn't that also racist? And if that's racist, why do they need an ID to get food stamps, welfare, Social Security? So there's no fraud. That's why. It has nothing to do with racism. Let me continue. Does the argument a national voter ID law would suppress the minority vote suggest minorities are incapable of obtaining an ID? No. They have an ID because they're able to get food stamps, welfare, and Social Security. When is an ID required? Which minorities are they referring to? They're referring to the illegal aliens. Logical thinking. If there is a previous Supreme Court decision on the matter, pre-POTUS, would a national voter ID law mandate using the Supreme Court ruling of 2008 plus common sense logical arguments as a legal foundation have merit? Yes, it would. They would refer back to the ruling. Is every other country that has voter ID law considered racist? Absolutely not. Gave us another link to New Observer. And this article says, 4th U.S. Circuit Judge overturns North Carolina's voter ID. So the 4th Circuit overturned the decision of a voter ID in North Carolina. Q went on to say, will the Department of Justice support the push instead of the file legal challenges as Loretta Lynch, that's in Kilbrack's LL and bold, did in the past? No, patriots are in control of the Department of Justice. The support will be there this time. If the Supreme Court ruled in 2008 that the voter ID laws do not impact, harm, or prevent minorities from voting, how could the U.S. 4th Circuit Court rule opposite? Is the 4th Circuit Court considered left liberal? Yes. It was switched when Obama came into power. They did this on purpose. New Observer once again. This article says the following. This court has gone to the left. Trump has a chance to move it to the right. So Q is telling us that this 4th Circuit Court can be moved back to the right. Why do D's want power at all costs? One example above. They can get the votes. They can control the courts. They can control the voter ID. They can not have any of this. Logical thinking. Hashtag facts matter. You are the news now. So all of this brings us back to post 2610, the wall, and why the Senate meant everything. Let's go to post 2610. And Anon said, will voter fraud be exposed before January? Q says no. 2019 push voter ID based on verifiable intel fraud. 2020 plus safeguarded Q. So by building the wall and having voter ID, the deep state will lose control of the election process, which means they lose control. The Senate was the target. Why? Well, there's many reasons. The Senate approves judicial appointments. Trump will change the courts by using the Senate. The Senate was the key for everything. They needed the Senate not just for the investigations, but for a firewall, to change the courts, to shape everything to follow the rule of law, and to place voter IDs into the public realm. This way, the deep state can't manipulate the elections. We need the wall to stop the illegals. We need the voter ID to ensure the votes are valid. Post 2690 gave us everything that we had before in Post 2689 and gave us a small list of things requiring an ID but not considered racist. Purchase alcohol, purchase cigarettes, open bank account, apply for food stamps, welfare, Medicaid, Social Security, a job, mortgage, unemployment, a hunting license, apply for fishing license, rent a house apartment, buy a house condo, drive a car, rent a car, buy a car, register a car, rent a hotel room, buy an M-rated video game, boarding an airplane, getting married, purchasing a gun, purchasing ammo for a gun, adopt a pet, get a prescription, donate blood, pawn shop transactions. Why aren't all these considered racist? The racist argument is out the window. Patriots are in control. Now, we have other news here. A federal judge declines to block citizenship question from the U.S. 2020 census. A federal judge ruled on Friday the U.S. government can include citizenship question on the U.S. census. The patriots are in control. We're going to see prosecutions. We're going to see transparency. The deep state, they are in trouble. All doors are being closed. They have no place to run. The Mueller report is going to show nothing. They won't get the votes. They're losing control. The Senate meant everything. Patriots are in control. Power is returning to the people. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.